Gentlemen, before we go any further, let me ask you something that sounds simple but carries more truth than most people realize. How much water have you actually had today? A couple of glasses, maybe a full bottle, maybe more. Most men answer this question with confidence. I drink plenty of water, I stay hydrated, I'm doing the right thing. And for a long time in life, that belief worked just fine. But if you are past 50, and especially if you are over 60, there is something important you deserve to know. Plain water may be keeping you alive, but it may no longer be keeping you vital. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. As the years pass, the body changes quietly. Not in dramatic ways you can easily point to, but in subtle shifts that affect how your cells behave, how your blood flows, how your energy rises in the morning and fades in the afternoon. Many men do everything they are told to do. They drink water, they try to stay active, they eat reasonably well, and yet they still feel tired. Their circulation feels slower, their sleep feels lighter, they wake up dry, stiff, foggy, and wonder why effort no longer brings the same results. Something feels missing, but no one ever names it. I'm Dr. Selena Clarke, a board-certified urologist, and for over a decade I've worked closely with men navigating this exact stage of life. Men who are not weak, not lazy, not broken, but depleted. And today I want to share a truth that rarely gets explained clearly, even in medical training. The kind of water you drink matters just as much as how much you drink. Hydration is not just about filling a glass and swallowing liquid. Hydration is about communication. It's about whether water actually reaches your cells, energizes your blood vessels, supports your nerves, and restores the internal rhythm that keeps you feeling steady and strong. Water alone cannot do that forever. When you were younger, your body was better at pulling minerals from food, better at absorbing them through the gut, better at holding water inside the cells where it matters. Over time, that efficiency declines. The thirst signal weakens, digestion slows, the kidneys become less precise, and the outer membranes of your cells gradually lose their electrical charge. That last part is critical, even though most people have never heard it explained. Every cell in your body relies on a delicate electrical balance to function. That electrical charge is what allows water to move from your bloodstream into your cells. Without it, water stays outside. You can drink glass after glass and still feel dry on the inside. Your skin, your joints, your muscles, even your thinking begin to reflect that internal dryness. It's like watering soil that has lost its nutrients. The water runs off the surface instead of soaking in. This is why dehydration after 60 doesn't always feel like thirst. It shows up as fatigue that doesn't lift with rest, as brain fog, as stiff joints, as slow recovery, as circulation that feels weaker than it used to, including in places men care deeply about but rarely talk about openly. Dehydration is not just about how much you drink. It's about how well your body can use what you drink. Here's the quiet truth. You can follow every standard hydration rule and still be dehydrated at the cellular level. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your body now needs more support to do what it once did effortlessly. And that support comes from minerals. Minerals are not supplements in the trendy sense. They are the basic elements that allow life to move. They carry electrical charge. They allow nerves to fire, muscles to relax, blood vessels to open, and water to enter the cell instead of passing right through you. When minerals are low, communication inside the body weakens. Signals slow down, systems fall slightly out of sync, and over time, that disconnection gets labeled as aging. But aging is not the same as depletion. When men restore mineral balance, something fascinating happens. Energy doesn't spike like a stimulant, it stabilizes. Circulation doesn't surge aggressively, it smooths out. The body feels calmer yet more alert, stronger without strain. Focus returns, sleep deepens, and confidence, the quiet physical kind, begins to resurface. This is not magic, it's biology working as designed. Plain water has no electrical charge, no minerals, no conductivity. It can keep you alive, but it cannot recharge a system that runs on electricity. And your body is an electrical system at its core. Every heartbeat, every thought, every muscle contraction depends on tiny mineral-driven currents. When those currents weaken, everything feels harder. The good news is that restoring them does not require extreme measures. It does not require chasing youth or relying on harsh stimulants. It requires understanding what your body is asking for now, at this stage of life. Over the next parts, I'll walk you through how mineral-supported hydration works, why certain minerals matter more as you age, and how a simple daily habit can gradually restore the internal connection many men assume is gone for good. But before we go there, pause for a moment and reflect. When was the last time you felt truly hydrated? Not just not thirsty, but clear-headed, steady, light in your body, awake without being wired. For many men, it's been years. That doesn't mean those days are behind you. It means your body has been waiting for the right signal. And that signal begins with understanding that hydration is no longer just about water. It's about restoring the charge that lets life flow freely through you again. This is where the real conversation begins. Now, let's go a little deeper without getting lost in medical jargon, because this is where everything starts to make sense. Think of your body as a living electrical system. Not in a metaphorical way, but literally. Every cell communicates through tiny electrical impulses. Your heart rhythm, your muscle movement, your nerve signals, your hormone release, all of it depends on voltage. Water is the medium that carries those signals, but minerals are what create the charge. Without minerals, water is just liquid. With minerals, water becomes active. It becomes conductive. It becomes something your body can actually use to power itself. This is why two people can drink the same amount of water and feel completely different. One feels refreshed and energized. The other feels bloated, tired, and still thirsty. The difference is not willpower, it's mineral balance. As men age, mineral loss happens quietly. It doesn't come with alarms or sharp pain. It shows up as tension that never fully releases, sleep that never feels deep enough, energy that fades too early in the day, and circulation that feels slower, heavier, less responsive. Most doctors are trained to look for disease, not depletion. Blood tests often come back normal while men still feel off. That's because mineral deficiencies can exist long before they cross the line into clinical deficiency. Your body adapts, compensates, and runs on backup power for years. Eventually, that backup power starts to feel like aging. The first mineral we need to talk about is magnesium, because it sets the foundation for everything else. Magnesium is the mineral of relaxation, not in a sleepy sense, but in a functional one. It tells muscles when to release. It tells blood vessels when to open. It tells the nervous system when it's safe to calm down. Every time your heart beats, calcium causes contraction. Magnesium allows relaxation. Without enough magnesium, the body stays slightly clenched all the time. Muscles tighten, blood vessels narrow, blood pressure creeps up, circulation slows. This tension doesn't just show up in your neck or back, it happens inside your arteries. When arteries can't fully relax, blood has to push harder to move through them. That means less efficient delivery of oxygen and nutrients to every tissue in the body. Over time, this contributes to fatigue, poor sleep, slower recovery, and reduced circulation everywhere. Research consistently shows that a majority of older adults, especially men, are low in magnesium. Not because they're careless, but because absorption declines with age and modern diets don't supply enough bioavailable forms. When magnesium levels are restored, many men notice changes within weeks. Sleep becomes deeper. Morning stiffness eases, muscles feel less rigid, the mind feels calmer but clearer. Circulation improves not by force, but by flow. The key is using a form your body can actually absorb. Magnesium glycinate or citrate dissolves well in water and is gentle on the digestive system. Taken in water, it supports hydration at the cellular level instead of sitting in the gut. Once magnesium begins to relax the system, hydration can finally move deeper. But relaxation alone isn't enough. Water still needs a way to enter the cell and stay there. That's where sodium comes in. This is where many men feel confused or even resistant because for years they've been told to fear salt. The truth is more nuanced. The problem is not sodium itself. The problem is refined, industrial sodium stripped of its natural partners. The sodium found in processed foods overwhelms the system without providing balance. It pulls water out of cells instead of helping water enter them. That's why it contributes to bloating, dehydration, and instability. Natural, unrefined salt is different. It contains trace minerals that work together to regulate fluid balance. Sodium acts as a gatekeeper. It allows water to move from the bloodstream into the cell. Without enough sodium, water stays outside and is quickly flushed out. This is why some men drink water all day and still feel dry, lightheaded, or fatigued. Their cells never get the message to hold on to the water. A very small amount of natural salt added to water can dramatically improve hydration efficiency. Not enough to taste strongly, just enough to signal the system that water is welcome inside. When sodium is balanced with magnesium, hydration becomes stable instead of fleeting. Energy lasts longer. Dizziness when standing up often improves. Mental clarity steadies. And no, this does not automatically raise blood pressure when used correctly. In fact, balanced electrolytes often support healthier blood pressure regulation because the body is no longer under constant stress trying to manage fluid imbalance. Once water can enter the cell, the next question becomes whether it stays there in a balanced way. This is where potassium plays its role. Potassium is the mineral of balance. It works in constant partnership with sodium. Sodium moves water into the cell. Potassium keeps the internal environment stable and calm. As potassium levels decline, which is extremely common with age, the body becomes more reactive. Blood vessels tighten, heart rhythm can feel irregular, muscles cramp more easily, fatigue sets in faster. Potassium helps blood vessels relax from the inside. It supports a steady heartbeat and smooth nerve signaling. When potassium is restored, many men describe a sense of internal calm paired with alertness. The body feels less jumpy, less strained. Dietary potassium is important, but absorption decreases with age, and many older adults simply don't get enough consistently. A low-sugar electrolyte powder with potassium can help restore this balance, especially in the evening when the body is preparing for rest and repair. When magnesium relaxes, sodium opens the gate, and potassium stabilizes the system, hydration becomes something entirely different. It becomes restorative. There is one more mineral that ties this system directly to masculine vitality and long-term resilience: zinc. Zinc is often overlooked because its effects are not flashy, but its role is profound. Zinc supports testosterone production, immune function, and prostate health. It influences motivation, recovery, and overall drive. As men age, zinc absorption declines. Alcohol use, common medications, and digestive changes can accelerate loss. Low zinc doesn't always announce itself loudly. It shows up as slower recovery, lower motivation, reduced resilience, and a feeling of running on reduced power. Liquid zinc added to water is often better tolerated and absorbed than tablets. In small, consistent amounts, it supports hormonal balance and immune strength without overwhelming the system. When zinc is combined with proper hydration and electrolyte balance, men often notice improved consistency in energy and mood, not spikes, but steadiness. At this point, something important becomes clear. This is not about chasing performance or forcing the body to do something unnatural. It's about removing the barriers that have been quietly blocking communication inside your system. When hydration becomes electrical, when minerals restore charge, the body remembers how to regulate itself. In the next part, I'll show you how to bring all of this together into a simple daily routine that fits into real life, not a complicated program. A routine that supports energy in the morning, stability through the day, and restoration at night. This is where knowledge turns into habit, and habit turns into change. Now let's bring everything together in a way that feels practical, realistic, and sustainable, because understanding the science is only useful if it becomes something you actually do. The body does not change from information alone. It changes from repetition. From small signals sent consistently, day after day, that tell your system it is safe to restore balance. This is where hydration becomes a daily ritual instead of a background habit. Imagine starting your morning differently than you have for years. Before the noise of the day, before caffeine, before rushing, you give your body one clear message. We're turning the system back on gently. You fill a large glass with water. You dissolve magnesium in it, a form your body recognizes and welcomes. You add a tiny pinch of real, unrefined salt, not to flavor the water, but to give it direction. As you drink, something subtle begins to happen. Blood vessels that stayed tight overnight begin to relax. Muscles soften, the nervous system shifts out of alert mode and into readiness. This isn't a jolt, it's a smooth awakening, the kind you may not have felt in years. Men often describe it as feeling online again. Not overstimulated, just present. That one glass sets the tone for the entire day. Circulation improves because vessels are no longer clamped down. Energy rises because cells can finally pull in water and use it. Focus sharpens because nerve signals travel more efficiently. Then the day moves on, and instead of hitting a wall by early afternoon, you support your system again. Around midday, another glass of water becomes a quiet reinforcement. A few drops of liquid zinc added in. Nothing dramatic, just enough to support hormone signaling, immune defense, and cellular repair. This is where many men notice a change they didn't expect. Their mood feels steadier. Motivation doesn't fade as quickly. That heavy, flat feeling that used to creep in after lunch doesn't show up the same way. The body feels supported rather than pushed. And then comes evening, the time most men underestimate. This is when the body does its deepest repair, when hormones rebalance, when tissues recover, when the nervous system decides how well you'll sleep and how you'll feel tomorrow. A final glass of water, this time with a potassium-rich electrolyte blend, low in sugar and clean in composition, helps close the loop. It restores what was used during the day. It calms the heart rhythm. It eases muscles into rest. It helps the body hold hydration through the night instead of waking up dry and stiff. Men often report sleeping deeper within days, not necessarily longer, but more restorative. Fewer nighttime awakenings, less tossing, more mornings where they wake up before the alarm and don't feel immediately drained. This three-part rhythm works because it follows the body's natural flow. Morning activation, midday stabilization, evening restoration, and the most important thing to understand is that the changes build gradually. This is not a one-day transformation, it's a reconnection. During the first week, many men notice small but meaningful shifts: less dryness, less tension, slightly clearer thinking. Mornings feel easier. Not perfect, just better. In the second week, energy becomes more consistent. The need for constant stimulation fades. Recovery improves, muscles feel less sore, the body doesn't feel like it's fighting itself. By the third week, something deeper happens. Circulation feels smoother. Skin often looks healthier. Sleep becomes reliably restorative. And for many men, that quiet sense of masculine confidence begins to return. Not bravado, not performance pressure, just the feeling of being physically grounded again. This is where men often realize something important. They were never losing their vitality, they were losing signal strength. The body doesn't suddenly stop working at 60, it adapts to scarcity. When minerals run low and hydration becomes inefficient, the system conserves energy. It tightens, it slows, it prioritizes survival over performance. When you restore the basic elements that allow communication, the system opens back up. This is why so many symptoms improve together. Energy, circulation, mood, sleep, focus. They're not separate problems, they're expressions of the same underlying imbalance. And there's something else that happens over time. Men begin to feel more in tune with their bodies. Signals become clearer. Hunger feels different. Thirst feels different. Fatigue makes more sense. You stop guessing and start listening. This is real health, not control, but cooperation. There's no need to chase youth or compare yourself to who you were decades ago. The goal is not to go backward. It's to move forward with a system that's supported instead of strained. Consistency matters more than perfection. If you miss a day, nothing breaks. You simply return the next day. The body responds to patterns, not pressure. And as weeks turn into months, the benefits compound. The heart works with less resistance. The nervous system stays calmer. Hormones stabilize. Immunity strengthens. You feel more resilient, not because you're forcing anything, but because the foundation is solid again. This is what most men were never taught. Vitality is not built on intensity, it's built on connection. Every glass of mineral-supported water becomes a message. We're nourishing, not draining. We're restoring, not depleting. We're listening, not ignoring. And when your body receives that message consistently, it responds. So as you move forward, keep it simple. Keep it steady. Let hydration become a daily act of respect for your system rather than a box to check. Your best years are not defined by age. They're defined by how well your body can communicate, adapt, and recover. Give it the tools it needs, and it will meet you there. That's not hope. That's physiology. And once you experience it for yourself, you won't think about water the same way again.